you said these heinous murders are a reflection of the extremism and political violence that have been fomented in our country. I know we're all asking. I mean, in Minnesota, I know, and across the country tonight, how something like this could happen in America. I said earlier, and I don't know how you feel about this, that I know people keep saying this is not who we are, and I think part of it is this is part of who we are, and we need to talk about how political violence on the rise is something that's threatening public officials across the country. But how have you been answering that question today to yourself, to the people who have called you and asked?
Well, you're absolutely right. Unfortunately, it has become who we are, but it doesn't mean that is who we should be.
Yeah.
We're better than this. And at the end of the day, we should solve our differences in this country, not through political violence, but at the ballot box, right? And, I thought my governor said it best today when he said, remarkably, just a week ago in Minnesota, they ended their legislative session through compromise. In one of the most closely divided state legislatures in the country, they came together, Republicans and Democrats. They resolved their differences through compromise, through finding common ground to actually get something done for Minnesota. And it's just so tragic here right now in this day and age, because we do see the extremism on the far right, and we see this violent rhetoric coming from all quarters right now, that legislators can't do their jobs without fearing for their own lives, for God's sake. Is that really where we're at right now? We are at that point. You're absolutely right, Jen. I mean, make no mistake about it. This is who we've become. But I want Americans to know, and every one of your listeners, this is not who we need to be. And that requires all of us in this moment to stand up and speak loudly against this type of violence. Two people. Let's center humanity in this conversation for a moment. Two of my close friends were murdered today. Two of my other friends were they attempted to murder them. And if it wasn't for lawmakers doing their jobs in Minnesota, I don't know how many more countless friends of mine in the Minnesota legislature would have been targeted today. This is wrong. We have to call it out for what it is. And you know what? There is no doubt that that has been fomented by the far right in this country, and extremism and violent rhetoric that exists in the far reaches of the internet that we have allowed to seep into this country, as it's now commonplace to just go out and assassinate people that you disagree with. Well, it's bullshit. And I'm just telling you right now, none of this should happen in this country. Let's solve our differences through the ballot box. Let's solve our differences by finding common ground. No one should be going out there and assassinating people they disagree with.
The accused suspect in the shootings of two Democratic state lawmakers and their spouses was arrested. Minnesota Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband died, while the other two victims are recovering this morning.
Yes, police say the suspect is believed to have impersonated a law enforcement officer at the time of the shootings, calling it a, quote, betrayal and deeply disturbing. Naomi Ruckup has more.
Minnesota police say shooting suspect Vance Luther Bolter was armed when he was taken into custody overnight with no use of force.
The suspect crawled to law enforcement teams and was placed under arrest at that point in time.
Brooklyn Park's police chief said a breakthrough came yesterday in the search after police found the suspect's abandoned car in rural Sibley County. Multiple law enforcement agencies descended on the area and built a perimeter until they were able to locate the suspect with the assistance of a helicopter and infrared technology. Police say they believe the suspect acted alone in the shootings.
We will be exploring if there are any broader network. We have not uncovered any of that at this time.
The 57-year-old suspect now faces murder charges in the shooting deaths of Democratic State Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband, Mark. A memorial of flowers on the steps of the state capitol have been placed in their honor. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz has called the shootings politically motivated.
This cannot be the norm. It cannot be the way that we deal with our political differences.
The suspect is also charged with attempted murder in the shootings of State Senator John Hoffman and his wife Yvette. Both are now recovering from their injuries. In a statement last night, the Hoffmans said they are grateful to law enforcement and added they are, quote, incredibly lucky to be alive.
Well, police are still working to determine the motive and interviewed him last night. They also say they contacted other law enforcement agencies over a potential list of victims found in the suspect's car.